Mas mamilis na pagama kung limitag. Hindi pa sa ito. Ay, nas na bisa.
As we forgive those who sin against us. Do not bring us to the test, but deliver us from evil. Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Miss Kake. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So, before we start our discussion, so let's have a motivational activity or an energizer first. So, young and out. So, can I please stand up and anyone who ibugin sa toy hindi mo sayo maglista ang ako ang co-members and ang kato is nice silot. So, wala ni siya kanang kuan ha, wala din siya kanang exception. Wala na. Sige. Okay, tanawa dyan Melissa and Novi kung ginsay wala nanayaw. Kay grabe ka na. Bakos kinay. O sige sa Hindi mo nanayaw yun. Bantay lang yun. Kaya naman yun na magkakasayay. Ano mo na ba kaya? Kasi wala ka tao magsundo. Awang natin. White Muslim, si Pano, Ria May.
Knees together.
So social from the word itself, social and developmental factors. Isa man sa Go, Alvin, with the shaling.
For me, mga social and developmental factors, from the word social, it means your environment, and developmental factors, which is gonna affect your learning outcome.
Very good. Let's give a hand for Alvin. Anyone, hand back. So, okay, so let's start our discussion. So, the first, but before we conduct our formal discussion, let's have first a diagnostic activity. So, in 2 to 3 sentences. 1 to 3, sige, get 1, have question. Start our discussion. So, we will come Novi Maslow to discuss about the learning journey at the end of the lesson, you are expected to explain what makes up a conducive learning environment, examine the role of teacher to student and student to student relationships in building a supportive classroom, climate and design lessons for diverse learners. So let's welcome Novi Maslow to discuss about the classroom climate. Let's give a hand to Novi Maslow.
The classroom climate. Classroom is a kind of environment with its ecology and running stress.
Tapo ka lang na tanan inya na naipang-distribute.
Students, learning materials, and a range of exciting and meaningful activities that all interact and influence the should standards and your students feel when they are in the classroom. The students wanted to feel safe, comfortable, and welcoming and supportive of student learning. As a teacher, we should know how to handle our students, to cater their needs, and especially their weaknesses and their strengths. So there are interactions between the teachers and the students and their peers. Expectation, roles, and procedures are made from the very first day of school. The teacher, who is the leader, is fully aware of what is happening, and students are made responsible for their own opinions. So as what we know about the first day of school, like the teachers introduce the subject and also give the classroom rules. And the teacher gives the expectations to the students, and also the students give the expectations also the teachers. So the teacher should be aware of what the happening with the students, not just in the classroom but also in their home, in the background of the students. A conducive physical learning environment is one that allows maximum interactions between teachers and students, allows students movement without necessary distractions, allows the teacher to survey the whole class, safe, clean, and orderly, well-ventilated, spacious, and effectively lighted. So in the classroom, it should be clean, and the chairs should be well organized so that the students will avoid distractions without they get interested to listen to teachers. According to Manzano, 2003, it is a conducive classroom climate where specific classroom rules and procedures are clear. These classroom rules and procedures are discussed and reinforced. Students are involved in the design of rules and procedures so that the classroom rules should be clear, and so the students can avoid communicating and then if one of your students have the bad attitude, and the students must face the consequences for them to know that the bad attitude is not acceptable to the classroom, even though the learning environment is also defined as the interaction of three factors: diversified physical space, context for what the learners learning, culture of what, and how the students learn. So, in a classroom, and it should be inclusive for all the students to cater the different learning styles.
So classroom structuring, teachers often have valid concerns when arranging their classroom, and setting up a classroom physically can be a lot of work. So we teacher, we need to think about how we design our classroom, right?
Yes.
Right, Jamar?
Yes.
So it involves finding the right furniture and making sure there is enough of it. So effective classroom setup is essential to creating a conducive learning environment. So as we teacher educator, we need to maintain our classroom more meaningful, or we need to make sure that our students can learn through the conducive learning environment. So the classroom needs to be comfortable for them. It needs to be conducive means helpful or useful in their learning process. So crowded and cluttered classrooms can lead to problem behavior. So an ideal classroom setup allows students and teachers to move around freely without distraction. But even though need nato og more design ang atoang classroom, it needs to be dili bitaw crowded, meaning dako po siya space for the students and teacher can move freely. So actually there are problems today's classroom. So the first problem is 19th century classroom designed for 21st century century students. So during 19th century classroom, so this classroom designed as a teacher-centered approach where the teacher is giving information to the student and the student always kanang ikaw na sila maminaw or they just kanang gather the information without even a collaboration with the teacher. So during this time, kanang and because of that, the students kanang kanto nila apply na nila sa ilang kaugalingon na kanang dili sila mo interact. They didn't interact with the kanang teacher. That's why karon if ever there is an collaboration or interactive kanang activities, some of the students dili na jud sila mo participate because kanang they adopt the 19th century classroom design which is the sa tong kingon ganina classroom design which is a teacher unsa so next one is classrooms are built for lectures not for learning. So ang classroom ko no, they are gonna build with a for lectures. So what I have said earlier, more on discussion now without even the learning of the students. What I sure teacher, his or her students really understand what he or she discussed. Nakasabot ka sa akong discussion? Yes. Kasi maparihat ka sa problem. Next is technology is advanced but classroom design is lagging behind. Kinsay, agree. Ang technology is nagka-advance while the classroom is low kayo. Agree nila? Agree. Agree, very agree John. Natay, mga nindot kayo ng mga appliances, mga mga cellphone, mga but actually our classroom is not improving. So next is lack of flexibility. So the classroom is unsa ganitong flexibility? Anyone? Para tayo. Flexibility. So lack of flexibility. Where is that flexible? Unsa lang flexibility? Lack of flexibility. So the classroom is not flexible for all learners. Dili ko siya flexible sa learners. So as we future educator, we need we need to facilitate or assess our students para makakuan sila nga you need to be flexible teacher for your you need to be flexible on your teaching strategy for your learning para yung learners is maka-cater nimo para nimo learners because we all know that our learners is have a diverse learning process. So next is lack of connection between students. So ano pagingon ninyo? So walay interaction between the teacher and the students. So next is boring environment. So ang gawin is a boring environment. So ang students is boringan during the discussion of the teachers. So ano siya yung mga problem during the classroom structuring. Next, see. to the student well defined and at the student's ability level, visually presented as well as directly taught, reinforced during teaching, generalized to other environments whenever possible, communicated to other schools that ensure consistent expectation. So, some routines is need to achievable to student na para student can follow them independently. So our classroom rules are come to class on time, listen to our class please. Number one, come class on time. We should come on time. The students come on time so kinahanglan po or the students should listen to the teacher para ma-absorb nila ang informations nga gikan sa teacher. And keep our class and raise your hand to speak. So the students need to participate whenever the teacher discuss in front.
Oral.
Use your inside voice, listen to your teacher, and keep your class. So it should please to keep the classroom clean. The teacher must provide must tell the students that, for example, the teacher assigned the student in a group, and then for example, the group one should clean every Monday, and then the group two should clean every Tuesday. And then the rest of the group are so examples of essential classroom routines include number one, managing personal and classroom materials. So the students should know makibaw na sila o nasa na nila ibutang ang mga brooms like mga silhig. Yeah, then they are already know how to organize it. So dili na nila ibutang everywhere kay they are already know nga asa na nila ibutang. And then number two, attention, use, and expectation for listening. So from what I have said, if the teacher discuss in front, then we can prevent that there's students nga dili maminaw or kanang magchika-chika. Just like for example, elementaries or high school, yung mga badlungan ang uban. So the teacher should, if it's up to the teacher if she or he use a verbally kanang mingon siya mas listen to me and stop talking, or if the teacher timely to say that, so she or he can like if the teacher claps his hands, so the student should listen and stop the sugar, and then recording, completing, and handing in homework, so that the student also if the teacher tell them that this will be your homework or assignment, so the student buhaton na nila sa balay, then they already know that kung na i-pass. Then number 5, distributing and collecting assignments. So if from the word distributing and collecting assignments, so in this she or he can borrow it, and then iuli ra pod para kuan para di makamit. And then number 7, transition within the classroom and between classes. Number 8, entering and exiting the school and classroom. So the student, if they are entering, so they are already know nga kanang lingkod na sila, ibutang na ang bag sa desk or sa chair, and then if the class if class mag-start na, so magsugod na dyan na sa mag-pray, and then after that motivation or energizer and discussion, and sa pinakadulo is at the end is mag-pray gihapon. So dapat i-routine na every class hour. And backroom routines, like the classroom or the schools must have kanang backrooms. The students should be self-disciplinary. They already know kung mangin sila or malibang, dapat ilang i-flash or mag-minita silang para to the school should provide water or enough water para maliguan ang backroom.
Why si Arbital sa room na lang malibot?
Waiting for help or to take tours. And then 11, number 10, waiting for help or to take tours. The number 11, lunch. You already know what's the word lunch is. Kanang pagpaliguto every kanang every day. Dahil na naman sila paligot ko kinahanglan ang estudyante mag-charge na siya or mag-eat na o mga vegetables like para nagbalik sa class day that's why. Number 12, asking for help to leave the room. So, kanito ay pinakakuan kay for example, elementary ka na naiuban nga mga elementary nga mga boys or mga buhay-buhay nga mo dili sila mo malapit o mugawa sila. So, para kana respectful po para sa teacher is kinahanglan nato nga malapit nga mugawas ta mo. May I go out?
Teacher,
May I go out? And then also using computer equipment, kinahanglan it should be the student should be responsible to use the computer or I know it's not that computer, but we have to we are still students, so kinahanglan din nato nga katong di man ni ma'am nga dili ta dala og pagkaon sa sulod like speech library, speech library. Love the okay, sorry. Number 14, making a phone call home. Number 15, setting up and using gym equipment and changing clothing for gym class. Number 16, cooperative or partner work. So, kailangan dyan nga cooperate. Students should cooperate. Para so, at the beginning of the period, naa siya yung first book, kaya ang book ay the first days of school. Mo na ito na the question is, who is that person? He is disruption. So may mga specific way sa students can get the teacher's attention without disruption. Number 4, movement of students and papers. Routines for moving around and handling papers makes transitions efficient. Like i-pass or i-distribute, organizely, kanang magsuko ka sa kasalinan ba, i-distribute lang. Number 5, end of the period. Students should understand who or what dismisses them so they don't leave before the end of the class. So, magunsa na gani o kanang end of the class na? Pray. Pray. And that's all. Thank you. 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes. So now let's have another activity for So social and developmental factors. So sa ito, social and developmental factors is a chicken.
Uy!
Noodles. Chicken. Noodles. Chicken. Beef. Chicken. Beef. Noodles. Okay, for the merger, what is social and developmental factors?
Tumban mong gisisi.
For me, it is the social and developmental. Social. Beyond understanding social and developmental factors is it is the students. The students can So social and developmental factors, so it talks about the kind of strategies or factors that teachers must be considered during class discussion or during class discussion. Next is so the classroom climate. So sa ganito, classroom climate, it is a isang talo, bagay? Sige, chicken! Beef! Individual eh. Lahat ng mga ranas ng mga group, individual eh. Basta kay 6 and 5. The top phrase is kanang makauna is the first row. So the first row, kamong kanang kailangan tanan. So you will be the one kanang answering. Will be the one who answered kanang what our reporters. One. If you know the answer, then one.
Arnold! Arnold! Go Arnold!
Second row. One. One, two, Duhan mo answer ako. Di mo pareha answer wrong kung duhan is qualified. Yes. Balik ko na ko ang answer. Answer? Ang answer ang question. Sorry dahil. So during 19th century classroom, we signed with teacher centered. So please arrange your chairs, everyone, and make your kung isang bangko na isang bangko. So before we formally start our discussion, let us pray first. What's that with prayer? Good afternoon once again. So please take your seat. So in continuation of our discussion, so let us discuss about the benefits of a positive classroom and Ati. So si Ati Janine. So this time I will be talking about the benefits of a positive classroom. So anyone has an idea about what is benefits of a positive classroom? Check it.
Kapan damay?
Sorry. So, benefits of a positive classroom. A positive classroom significantly reduces the likelihood of bullying. Students who feel a strong connection with their teachers tend to work harder, attend school more regularly, and exhibit greater confidence in their academic abilities. Now, and these are the key features of an effective learning environment. I cannot hear your voice. These are the key features of an effective learning environment. Please read them. Physical
Arrangement of the classroom, discipline and routines, organization of learning activities, engagement of students, maximizing instructional time, communication of high expectations, care and respect.
So, when we say key features of an effective learning environment, in physical arrangement, yes, the classroom's layout should prioritize teacher-student interaction and efficient use of space with careful placement of materials and work areas. This is typically established during the first few weeks of the school of the year. Physical arrangement yan. Kaya ba? Before, iba yan. Sa kuwali siya, sa enormity ka na limirong klase, limirong klase may tapo physical arrangement. Is it only on the beginning of the class? Not only, ma'am. Discuss further. It always happen every time na before the class mag-start. I-arrange
So let's proceed to accommodating diversity in the classroom. Kindly read, everyone.
Personalized learning supports educators' efforts to empower learners as individuals by connecting learning to each individual's development, background, interests, and experiences. With personalized learning, you can engage, motivate, and inspire individual learners by understanding how they learn best and providing them with the right resources at the right time in the appropriate medium and the right place.
So when we say accommodating, it is about, it's to provide with something that is desired, needed, or suited. So accommodating diversity in the classroom means that the teacher should cater all the students in order to create an inclusive environment that every student can succeed. So Tomlinson and Weinbrenner, regarded as a pioneer who emphasizes the four key pillars of differentiated instruction, or the four main categories of accommodations. So the four main categories are: first is the content, what students need to learn. Students should have access to the same core content, and instructional concepts should be broad-based. So it focuses on how the students receive information, or how the students receive the content of their lesson. Next is the process, an activity through which the student engages in order to grasp the subject matter or master it. Differentiated process activities including scaffolding, flexible groupings, interest centers, and encouraging advanced learners to dig deeper into topics. So example of this category is when the teacher asks their students to create groups and brainstorm with them about your lesson. So third is products, extending and applying what students have learned through culminating projects. In this category, the students are given a variety of ways to demonstrate their knowledge. So, the process is the teacher asks the students to create groups and brainstorm with them. And then, in this category, the product is the students will, after they brainstorm with their groups, they will be asked to present their knowledge or their learnings about the topic that they had studied. So the last is learning environment, what it's like to work and feel in the classroom. Differentiated classrooms should include quiet areas, materials reflecting diverse culture, and routines that allow students to get help without the teacher's assistance. So, diba, if mag-study bitaw ka, diba, there are some students that di sila makafocus sa ilang pag-study if ang surroundings is very noisy. Some of the students focus on their study when they are in the quiet area. So these are the steps to provide accommodations. So let's not dig deeper with this because it's understandable naman siya.
Establishing a conducive learning environment. So educators are responsible for creating an environment and atmosphere that enhances learning for students and teachers in school classrooms. So it is a goal of effective teachers to maximize learning opportunities for their students. It is essential to recognize the classroom environment as a teaching resource. So in establishing a conducive learning environment, so the teacher needs to be needs to maximize learning opportunities for their students. So they need to cater all their students to learn independently. The next is so there are four establishing. So the first one is physical space. So the physical space of the classroom is important in creating an environment conducive to learning. So para ang mga bata is makasabot o tarong, they need to have a comfortable space in the classroom so that they can learn actively. Next is getting students to cooperate. Siyempre, dapat yun, it needs for the teacher to have an interaction between his or her students. Next is creating a communal atmosphere. Creating a positive classroom atmosphere is crucial to student success. So, creating a communal atmosphere, which means every time na students musun sila sa klase, dapat ang environment the teacher needs to create an environment which the students may actively engage because dili sila as in moral makulbaan every time musun sila sa klase. Next is classroom climate and culture. So a positive classroom climate and culture is the last step in creating an environment conducive to learning after establishing a classroom community. So what I have said earlier, so a teacher needs to have a positive classroom for his or her students to learn engagedly. So next is providing an environment conducive to learning ensures effective learning in the classroom. It is evident that the teacher is caring and supportive. So there is a good flow to the lesson, they progress smoothly, and there are no interruptions. So as long as diretso ang teacher sa pag-discuss, so it means na ang learning sa bata is kanang dili magputol-putol. So next, enhancing positive behavior in the classroom by May Angelo.
Okay, so good afternoon once again, everyone. So now we will dig deeper into enhancing positive behavior in the classroom. So everyone, can you read the first quote there in the TV?
When the teachers know and use positive and representative management strategies, many of the commonly reported minor classroom behavior can be avoided.
So as a future educator, diba, we are having our course to be a teacher soon. So do you agree with this quote? So do you agree that when a teacher use positive and presentative management strategies, so can maka-avoid ba ni sa kanang behavior sa students in a classroom? Wala? Okay, so I myself, I believe this quote it is by Brenda Schumann and Judy Hall in 2008. So, imagine a classroom where everyone knows the rules, everyone knows what's expected, and everyone feels good about being there. So, diba, if a student is being comfortable in the classroom, they will comfortable ang ilahang learning environment niya, murag maka-cope up sila sa mga activities. They will cope up the activities that they should that the teacher are needed to be catered without by the students. So
Clear, unlimited classroom rules that are developed with students' participation can help prevent behavioral difficulties.
So in a classroom, it is stated last time that about classroom rules, classroom routines and procedures. So to develop a classroom rules, diba, every instances there's a rule. Like for example, you and your friend having a play. So in your play, you have a rule for you to avoid a chaotic. So just like in a classroom setting, so in a classroom you need to be in a classroom. It works best when the teacher and the students knows the rules. Like for example, what are some rules of the teachers in the classroom? Yes, so like for example, as what we earlier said, no using of phones. So thus, through that rules, the students will be able to the students will be able to follow the rules because some teachers give rules, and if that rules will not be followed by the students. So the teacher should give some consequences, some punishments, yes, and or reinforcement to the students. So it is in developing classroom rules. It is important because there's in developed classroom rules, there is less confusions, less chance of accidentally breaking a rule in the classroom, and everyone feels ready and learn in the classroom. They will feel comfortable. So next, number 2.
Arriving with complete assignments and transitioning should also be established by teachers.
Yeah, so as Jenny said last time, so classroom routines and procedures. So classroom routines and procedures, it includes about the students arriving out before the class or the session starts and after. So when they arrive, when they leaving and complete assignments, and transitioning should also be established by a teacher. So for example as a well-oiled machine kita, diba? It will run smoothly. So just like in a classroom, so teachers need to teach everyone the routines and procedures for every part of the day para makuhaan po niya ang mga needs sa mga students bitaw. So in teaching classroom routines and procedures, so please read everyone the 5 book.
Teacher should explain. Teacher should demonstrate and model. Rehearse, guide, and practice. Perform independently. Review, rotate.
So in teaching classroom routines and procedures, the teacher should explain. So why do you think the teacher should explain to the students about the classroom rules, routines, and procedures in a classroom? Yes, Escamas.
For me, I think that teachers should explain well the classroom routines and procedures in the classroom in order for us that the students aware when or how they use that kind of strategy or routines. Like for example, when teacher explain her or his lessons very well,
procedure should be explained by a teacher for the students. So she is right that for the students to be aware of their responsibilities, of their doings that they should do, or what they are need to be avoid as a student in a classroom. So next is teacher should demonstrate and model. So teachers should break down complicated routines into smaller steps accompanied by a chart or a diagram. And so demonstrate and model. So diba, as a teacher, you need to demonstrate and model yourself as a best example for them to follow. Like, so teaching classroom routines is like teaching, diba? Like for example, magtudlo kita we teach a dance. So you will show them the steps. So it's like the model of behavior. So explain. So the teachers will explain why the steps are important and practice repeatedly. So in demonstrate and model, so the teacher should provide an visual aids like posters and like also a positive reinforcement. So when we say positive reinforcement, what do you have an idea about this? That's okay, so what comes into your mind when you heard about a reinforcing routines? Positive reinforcing.
Positive reinforcing. I think positive reinforcing is to you need as a teacher you need to enforce your students to become independently learning independently.
Yes, thank you, Bagsak. So, a positive reinforcing is like having a pahalipay bitaw. Yes, reward. So positive reinforcement, like for example, you will praise your students, like mulay nga na ba, or hatag no. So next we'll have a rehearse or guided practice. So rehearse or guided practice. Students receive corrective feedback as they practice the routine. So students is the teacher will correct the students' performance. So here, so it involves actively helping students practice how to follow the classroom rules and routines. So the teacher demonstrates what to do, such as how to raise hands, like they want to answer. So they will teach the students on what they will do. Listen po, if may mga students nga, if you want to answer, then you can raise your feet. So the teacher will say, you can raise your hands using your right hand. Raise hands lined up, like for example in a flag raising ceremony. So di ba, naka-abot pa mo ito when there is a rainy, or like for example rainy day. So the flag ceremony will be held at your classroom. So in that, so the student, as a teacher, you are responsible of teaching the students how to line sila sa when the flag raising ceremony is started. Or turn in work, and the students practice these actions with guidance. So the teacher is there guiding the students and teach the students whenever they are doing some things right or not. So next is perform independently. So the teacher provides. So next is review or reteach. So teachers periodically review or reteach routines. It may be useful for students with memory problems to take cue cards to their notebooks or desks. So teachers review the routine and help everyone who needs more practice. So that it is a responsibility for the teacher to repeat and review all the kind of routines and procedures for them to not makalimot bitaw para dili sila para for them to cope up with that one. The teacher will review, reteach, and repeatedly saying that rules para dili makalimutan sa students. They might check to see if everyone understands the routine and help those who need more guidance. So in this review and reteach, this is not only those students na nag-need. So you will, as a teacher, you will need to be flexible. So you need to cater the diverse needs of your students, their diversities. By following those steps, teachers make sure everyone knows how to do things the right way, which makes for a happy and productive learning environment. So through those steps, the teacher can create a productive and comfortable learning environment of these students. So giving clear and direct direction. So imagine, like for example, you're teaching a puppy. You teach a puppy a new trick. Like you wouldn't tell it don't bark, instead you say sit. So it's the same with kids in the classroom. So you need to be direct. You will give them direct information so that they can cope up what do you want them to be what do you want them to be understand sa imong ipang instruct. So you can phrase your commands so that they are stated in positive terms and focus on what students should do rather than do what they should not do. So in short, you will use a positive words. So dili kay, for example, you're a teacher, so you will be teaching, you will not deliver your words like, for example, bad. So as a teacher, you will use positive words para maapoy masunod sa imong mga students. Next is stating presented to students in an appropriate sequence. So in this, in short, it means that one step at a time. So if you need to give several instructions, so you will, like for example, you will say them once at a time. Like for example, instead of saying get your book, go to the table and start working, you will say them that get your book and then go to the table and then start working, so that the students will be guided or dili sila maglibog sa imong instruction. Next, so be direct. So be direct. Say, like for example, please. So like for example, you're saying, please put your pencils away. So not like, would you mind putting your pencils away? Diba murag, kuan na siya, murag mas the mind of the students is murag magloading pa. So instead, you will giving them a direct instructions. Next is using positive reinforcement. Okay, so diba, a positive reinforcement is a Yes, giving reward. So it is widely used, highly effective. So imagine in a classroom where a student is working quietly and diligently. So the teacher walks and by and says, wow, like for example, John Lloyd, you're really focused on your work. So I love, like, so you will praise your students because you appreciate and you notice his performance or his kind of behavior in a classroom. That's all.
So, for now, let's have an activity. So, we'll divide you into two. And then, one siya, ito siya og message relay. So, namin topic called topic called creating collaborative classroom norms. So, through this, for example, naay usa ka group diri, two groups man. Naay one group diri, one group diri. So, mo choose mo og one representative nga molingkod dito sa luyo. Then magda siya og one whole bond paper and a pen. Then ang uban is maglinya dire kana ko space dira. So maglinya mo dira, then dire sugod ang linya hanto dinha. Then ang last nga kanang tao nga naa dinha is siya mismo ang mudagan dito sa tigsuan if unsay na deliver nga message sa kanang ihang kauban. Sabtan na?